What are we smoking tonight?
La Roma de Cuba, Connecticut. It's a good little standby, as Connecticut's go.
Yeah. Got the Rocky Patel, Connecticut. I had a bum of smoke off of Clint this week. Man, I hate one of the very few things that I dislike about our state is that you can't buy cigars on a Saturday. On a Sunday.
You can.
But you can't go to the liquor store and buy them.
Right. You just can't buy liquor on a Sunday. And they're not going to open the liquor store just to open the cigar.
Well, why not? I would go.
Start a petition.
Yeah. And we don't have like a
ladder.
Yeah. We don't have a cigar shop close to our town, or at least one that I feel confident in. Getting. By the way, I went to put my hat on this morning, or this on the way in, and it's fallen off. Like the little clip is falling off. So I'm putting the camera. Hey, at the Leaf store in Abilene, Texas, if you want to hook a brother up with a new one. I can't make it that far. It's a long ways.
That's a long ways.
It's a long ways, and I really, really, really like this hat.
Although I have a friend whose son plays at Hardin Simmons, and they go every weekend. So, well, I guess every home game.
Would he stop?
Maybe.
We'll have to ask.
Probably thinks our cigar smoking is sinning, though.
I don't know. Maybe
I got an idea.
Maybe it is. By the way, we had this conversation in the chat between you and I, but I like it much better when I'm looking at you. We're having this.
Yeah.
I know we tried the angle, but
well, the garage man cave remodel is 86.3% done. And so there's a couple more steps to do, and then it'll be complete. So you're seeing a little bit of it in the camera today, but there's other things. There's still some lumber hanging out in here, a little bit of electrical conduit over there. There's some things.
I think it looks great.
So I like it. It's coming together.
Yeah, it looks good.
Several phases. If you know anything about me, I like to call it improving. My wife just calls it always have a project going.
I don't think that's a bad thing.
No.
By the way, I do owe you an apology. You don't know this, but I apparently referred to you as my favorite CPA on episode 40.
I remember that.
Yeah, and several people reached out to me and was like, "Hey,
no,
does Clint do taxes?" I'm like, "Oh,
nope."
If you go back to the podcast, I did say I was paying him $10 million.
For $10 million.
So if you want him to do your taxes, it's going to be 10 mil.
Been there, done that. I'm a different kind of CPA. But I do get free advice for friends. I do stay connected and stay up to date on tax law and tax law changes. But I give free advice to friends. But what I did say in a podcast several episodes ago was what I hate is if someone tags me in the neighborhood group, because I have responded to a couple of those because I'm like, listen, I want to help, and I'm going to toot my own horn. I am a really good CPA. And until recently, I just had a job change, but until recently, I worked for one of the biggest firms in the country, and I was really good. So I'm good at what I do. Horn tooting over. So
I have no doubt about that, by the way.
So I want to help.
I have no doubt that you're very good at your job.
And I like to help people. Like they have a question. I'm like, I have like extreme confidence that you could ask me just about any tax question right now and I would have the answer, or I'd at least be able to get it to you pretty quick. So when people ask these questions, I get tagged in and they're like, oh, I got the special situation, like so-and-so parent died or something. And every single time I try to help, it turns out to be the most convoluted thing that ends up with them saying, well, I saw this thing on TikTok and I'm going to go do that. I'm like, fine.
Well, then why did you ask? That's my question. Like,
I know why they ask, because they hear this thing on TikTok that sounds amazing, which, hey, newsflash, people who post stuff online are doing it to get clicks. So they're going to post stuff to get clicks, right? So they post it and they're like, no, you really can't do that. And here's why. And you don't want to go to jail. And then they just wind up saying, because I think they want like a legit CPA to like bless it, their TikTok tax treatment. And I'm like, no, that really doesn't work out. And here's why.
I have zero knowledge of tax burden or whatever you want to say, because we're teachers and we don't have any kind of stuff like that. So
one guy told me I was a big downer. A few weeks ago, I was answering his question. And I was like, well, to be honest, you don't want to, this will be funny for our cigars, but you don't want the CPA that just blows smoke all the time. You want the one that tells you the truth, even if it's what you don't want to hear.
I think that
at the end of the day, whether you think taxation is theft or not, they are real.
They are real.
It's a real thing.
Did the person that says that to us all the time say that to you? Yes. That you're a real downer? Oh, man.
No.
Oh, okay.
It was somebody else. Yeah.
Somebody else, but
yeah.
We have a friend that tells us taxation is theft on the regular.
Which is fine.
So did you see at the very top of the run sheet?
Yeah, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, so if you work in a school, there's always some sort of a scandal going on. Sometimes it's legit, sometimes it's silly.
That's how you mean gate.
Yes.
I was thinking about what is this?
My wife teaches at an elementary school, and actually, I think my son is the one that came home and said something about someone had used the number 2 on the floor. And we officially named it. We officially named it PoopGate. And so I guess they discovered who the perpetrator was and had a firm conversation. But when my son found out what grade they were in, he was very distraught about the age, a little bit older than him.
Of PoopGate
2025, 2026. So
on the floor in like a hallway or classroom?
In the bathroom.
Oh,
on the floor.
In a stall at least?
I didn't collect those details.
I feel like it's honestly harder to poop somewhere other than a toilet.
I agree. And I just think that this might go down as like the urinal conversation that we've had. I just need to have a toilet. I don't know that I could. The impressiveness of that it takes some skill.
That's what I mean. I think it's actually more difficult to not poop in a toilet.
Yeah,
I have in Russia. There you don't sit. You hover. I'll say
you hover.
Well, squat, hover, whatever.
Like on a porta potty.
On anything, they don't have toilet seats. In the airports and the nicer areas and buildings, they'll have toilets. Because I was at a camp where it was holes in the ground.
Oh no!
With a running stream behind it.
Oh no!
Done that one. So I can say like it is much easier to have a nice throne.
Huh. Well, it's been solved.
Yeah. So figured it out.
They figured it out. I don't know. I don't want to go. I didn't ask what the details of the investigation.
Maybe they really just didn't make it.
This was multiple occasions.
Multiple
occasions. I think they used security cameras. To discover who was coming in and out of the bathroom at the time. That
is scandalous.
Scandalous. In fact, it got to the point where I was asking, "Hey, is there any update?"
You put it on the run sheet.
I did.
It's important to know for that.
It did. I think Clint would enjoy this conversation.
I do have a kid, one of mine, that waits until the absolute last second.
Yep.
This kid has FOMO like anything else. Yep. And he will not leave the game, whatever he's doing, until he's like about to either poop or pee himself. Like he's running. And when he says I gotta go, I'm like, all of my other kids, I'm like, we'll go in a second. Like, hold it. Like, we'll be like Friday night at the football game, watching the game, you know. It's like a minute and a half till the end of the quarter.
Yeah.
You know, and like they're driving and I'm like, he's like, one of my kids is like, I need to go to the bathroom. I'm like, give it a second. You know, but this one, when he's like, I gotta go, I'm like, I'm picking you up. We're running, buddy. Cause
the same way my son.
He's
when he's ready to go, it's time to go.
It's time to go.
And it always never fails right before we eat.
Yeah. We speaking of the football game and the one that always has to run to the bathroom, we lost him at the football game Friday night. Which some people would really be freaked out by that, and maybe I should be more freaked out by it, but it just kind of feels like par for the course. Like when you got 6 kids, they didn't really lose him. He kind of got behind.
Okay. Did the fear set in?
Yes.
Okay. Then yeah, you.
I think that always is like, even if you feel pretty secure, like, you know, because honestly, something that makes me feel really secure is there's only one way in it, like really the gates in and out.
Right,
and all of the teachers working the gates know us.
Okay.
And they know.
That helps.
They know our kids.
For sure.
And it's funny. So it's just for a few seconds. So I had all the other ones because I've taken them all to the concession stand after the halftime show. And I'm coming back up and I'm like, oh, nope, missing one. And so we pause and I call my wife. I'm like, is he up there with you? Nope. Okay. So she starts coming down to help find him. I run through the bathrooms because he's the kid who always has to go to the bathroom. And it honestly would have been nothing for him to peel off from us and just run into the bathroom because he had to go.
Right.
So I'm run through the bathroom and I come out of the bathroom. My wife's got him and everything. She's like, one of her students, though, who was at the game, saw him first and realized because of like her pictures on her wall and all of her stuff about my family and things that like, oh, that's Miss So-and-so's kid. And they grabbed him and took him to my wife right there. So,
yeah. Huh. Well, I've that's happened a couple, like, I won't say a ton of times, but at least a handful where like you turn around and you don't see them exactly where you thought they were going to be.
Weigh in on the chat because I feel like that's a pretty normal parent occurrence. But then when you think about it, in this day and age, it feels like it's one of those things like, I feel like this should never happen, but it just happens.
Yeah.
Kids just get away from you. I got lost at Disney World when I was like 11.
Oh, no.
They found me.
Well, obviously.
Actually, I found them.
Yeah.
They weren't even looking for me.
Then you really weren't lost.
It was a Joe Dirt situation.
I in fact, it happened this week. I was with my son. I had my son, and it was like for 2.2 seconds. I turned around. He wasn't where he was supposed to be, and we were in a big group. And you know, when we go places, like especially with on the school bus or something like that, he rides with us occasionally. And so I turned around, and he wasn't exactly where I thought he was going to be. Mm-hmm. And then I looked to the second spot that I thought he would be at, and he wasn't there. Mm-hmm. And then I turned to the third spot, and he was there. So it was like 1, 2, and then boom, there he is. Mm-hmm. And he's with a bunch of girls that he knows, then they know him, and they know he's not supposed to be running off. And if we're at school, like he has pretty much free reign. All three of my kids pretty much have always had free reign of wherever you need to go because they know, right? They know where they're supposed to be and when they're supposed to be. So It's just one of those things.
Yeah, I think there's probably some areas where your guard is kind of down a little bit.
Yeah.
Especially when you're in familiar places with a lot of people around that know them. But there are definitely some places we've gone. I mean, we went all the way to California and back. And so we were walking down Hollywood Boulevard, like the Walk of Fame, like I'm straight up.
Yeah.
I've got both their hands.
Yeah.
They're not holding my hand. I'm holding their hand.
Did you ever, this is going to sound bad and out of context, it would sound weird, but did you ever put a leash on them? Like the backpack leash?
I don't know if I can legally answer that question.
I mean, we did. Our middle daughter would just take off. We'd be trying to get up and down the street.
Technically against the rules for foster kids in Texas to have one of those.
Oh, okay. Well, I did.
I'll let you tell your story.
We were at the beach and we were walking down the road and she just took off right into the road.
Yeah.
And I screamed and I was like, get over here. And then from that point forward, we put a backpack and it had an attachment to it. I mean, it looks like a leash. It's not around it's just around their shoulders.
Right.
And it has like
it's
an
a
animal
backpack.
on the back.
Yeah.
But from that point forward, we always, if we were out in public, especially with that child, we had a backpack leash.
Yeah. And like you say, this day and age, when you're in certain areas, like, do it. Like, that's so much better than because somebody snatching a kid and having a head start on you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just, it's a weird world. So I guess we just hop right in. We're kind of avoiding the topic of the week.
Yeah.
I do want to put it. I see you put it up there. I hadn't seen this yet, but I just want to put a disclaimer. What we're about to talk about is probably not safe for kids unless you have an open conversation with your kids about what happened this week on September the 10th, 2025. Just put a disclaimer on that. I don't feel like most of the people that listen to us are older adults. But sometimes I know some people have the car going with their kids. But we're about to talk about the assassination of Charlie Kirk and then also the murder in Charlotte. Irina Zarinska. That's going to be most of the podcast today, if I'm being honest with you. It's the biggest news story in the world. Mm-hmm. So we are a current events podcast, so that's what we're going to talk about today. So,
and I just wanted to say also, like, that's a good disclaimer, because I do have listeners who tell me, like, yeah, we were in the house the other day, or we're driving in the car listening to it. And the kids will talk with him about the things we're talking about, which I think is great.
Absolutely.
But I also want to say, we are a current events podcast. This is a news story. This is a political story. All of those things.
It's a religious story.
It is a religious story. But like the most important thing, and I don't want our listeners to think we don't have sight of this, is that, a husband, a dad, a son is not going home to his family.
Correct.
And like anything we talk about on the podcast about this story that has to do with the details of it and kind of the fallout and the politics of it, the religiousness nature of it, and Christianity, like none of those things really rise to the level of there's a grieving widow and two kids. Like, with Erica Kirk, with his wife, all of her memories of her and her husband are now done. There's no more new memories with her husband. Like you think about your own spouse and what that means. And then his kids are only going to hear stories about their dad, like 3 years old and 1 year old. Like they're not going to know or have memories of their own. They're only going to have stories that other people tell them. And that really is the most important thing in this. But he was a political figure, and there is a political angle and other parts of this story that we're going to talk about. And I just don't want I want to stay up front that we recognize what the most important thing is, even as we talk about the other details of the story.
So I think I want to hop back and rewind back to last week. In episode 40, we talked about political discourse.
Yep.
And quite frankly, when we record these things, like we have a set list, but we pretty much just go and we just have a conversation. Just like literally we're sitting in a man cave having a conversation. That was the idea of this for the very longest time. Mm-hmm. So when I'm going through the clips for the week and I'm kind of pulling stuff, I'm like, hey man, we talked about Kirk. Mm-hmm. And I text you, I'm like, hey, have you listened back to that? And he was like, and obviously, you did. And we posted it on our socials and had some positive feedback. But like when you have a story like this, there's no real easy way to jump in.
Right.
I've said it before and I'm going to say it again. I am so thankful that we don't record this every night. I wish we could. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I love doing this. But quite frankly, this has been the first time that we've had a story in the almost year that we've been doing this where I'm not looking forward to this conversation.
Yeah.
I'm not. I know it. I know that for myself, it has to be had because I am still processing what I witnessed in live real time.
Right.
So I guess that's just kind of like, if you don't know what we're talking about, do just a Google search and you'll find it. I can
imagine anybody does. They were talking about that this week about, finding a jury for the suspect, right? Because being with a story like this, everyone is touched by it in one way or another or has seen it. I mean, I
hadn't even thought about that angle, honestly.
You had, before every NFL game, a moment of silence. Starting with the game on Thursday. Like,
yeah. In every Major League Baseball game this week.
Yeah. Like, when else has that happened?
I can't think of one.
I mean, I'm talking about recent memory. I'm sure, in other times past, man, I really can't remember them doing that. I feel like they've done moments of silence for natural disasters, things like that. But,
right.
Profound impact on the country. And I don't think anybody has not heard of or seen or been touched by the story this week.
So just kind of, I think probably just going through the timeline is probably the best. When was starting. Charlie Kirk was starting his tour of America this week at the University of Utah Valley. This was his first stop. Early reports were there was probably close to 10,000 people there. I think the final number came to around 7,000 people in this relatively small space. He was doing what he normally does, answering questions from and doing a public debate. And he was assassinated sitting on the stage after somewhat answering a question. I got a text message from someone, or it came across my news feed. I can't remember. And it was, my phone was sitting on my desk, and I'm like, what the heck? Like, that can't be right. Like, I can't remember. Again, the source that I got it from, I thought, come on, that's hyperbole. Like, that can't be right. So I opened up my Twitter feed, and that's the first thing I saw.
Yeah.
So I want to come back to that about opening my X feed and seeing that, but I want to kind of finish this thought first. And I'm sitting in front of a class of 27 students, and I'm processing this because they were working on a warm up, and then I'm supposed to sit there and teach after what I just saw.
Yeah.
And so I think that my students had no idea what had happened. Not even a little bit of an iota of what happened. Their Chromebooks were closed. They were working in a partner teach type situation. No phones. No, like, they're supposed to be off in there. So like they were getting no notifications about the situation. And this is like what, 2:30. So we get out at 4:05. And so by the time they all found out what had happened, he had passed. And so I'm thankful for that. One, as a teacher, I was very thankful that I didn't have to be the person that explains that to them, and it could fall on their parents. That's the first thing.
Right.
But the second thing is I'm hopeful, which I now know is not the case. I was hopeful that the videos that were being posted would kind of get further down in the feeds to where they wouldn't have to see that. So I think that in there was a manhunt. They thought they had two guys, I believe they had arrested at a certain point. By the next day in the morning, Trump, was it Friday or Thursday? Thursday or Friday? I can't remember. When Trump went on Good Morning Fox and Friends.
Friday morning.
It was Friday morning. This happened on Wednesday. And he announced that they were, in his Trump way, had announced that they probably had the guy.
Yeah.
Turns out the suspect was turned in by his dad, who had spoken to a minister of some sort. There's still a bit of confusion on that as far as like what that looks like.
Right.
Whether or not they knew, it's not clear. That'll come out in the wash as we move forward. But he is in custody.
Yeah. I think on finding out, it was, an incredible busy afternoon at work after a pretty uneventful morning. We had some people in the office we're getting some things for and working with. And so I saw it, the first place I saw it of all things. I don't know if yours does this or not, but at the bottom of my browser, at the bottom of Chrome, bottom left corner, it just either go between weather and top news.
Yep.
And I just saw Charlie Kirk shot. And I was like, ooh. And then about that same time, you sent me the text. And so I had like a couple minutes, and I scroll up, and there's nothing. At that point, I only saw I saw a video of far away, where as soon as you see the shot, the cameras drop because people are running.
Right.
And I was like, oh. And I briefly thought, man, that looks like maybe upper chest. And then you just think, I hope he can survive that. And then you see a video with a guy in handcuffs, an older guy on the ground who is claiming to be the shooter right there. And like, of course he wasn't.
Which is odd. That's an odd twist to this story.
I saw a development to that today, that he was yelling out, asking for people to shoot him. I really wish I could remember this guy's name, but it's the guy that Fox had on during all of this. He's a former rep, U.S. rep for Utah, and now a Fox News contributor. But he said he knew the guy. Like, the guy kind of had a reputation as being a little bit out there. So then, you have that development, and then it's like, okay, maybe it was something close up. A guy walks up to ask a question and has a gun.
Yeah.
And then that's kind of then I go into a meeting for like an hour, and it's like, man, it was so hard. Like, I understand what you're saying about having to teach, and I don't know if anybody else felt this way. Like, maybe you have jobs where you can kind of unplug, but I wasn't able to unplug. And as a teacher, you can't unplug.
No, Burgess Owens was his name.
Okay.
A representative from Utah.
And it was so hard to focus in these meetings. It was really important stuff. And we got through it and we got it done, but then I'd come back and try to digest some more news and see if there's any more developments. I saw an AI video that was extremely, extremely graphic. And so I posted that in a friend group and said, someone else posted about it. I said, I think that's fake. And then others in that group started posting, and you're in that group too, saying, no, there's different angles. And so, but what's crazy to me is the video I saw was fake. Like, it's someone who had taken that graphic video and, made that to the 10th degree worse. And if you've seen the video, just imagine it 100 times worse. And so that was crazy, how someone would take that video and that quickly think, this is what I want to do with my time. I want to make this just extremely gory and horrific and repost it like it's the real video. And so then I had to go into another meeting, a little shorter meeting, came back and then started digesting the actual closer up videos of the shot, which I did not know I was going to see what I saw when I saw it. And like, I'm not saying I'm squeamish or anything, but there was a part of me, I would say most of me, that just felt like I should not be watching this.
100%.
Like, that's too much. Like, I don't know why, like, psychologically, I would feel different about seeing that video from a distance and seeing him like shot from a distance. And like, I didn't feel that when I saw those first cell phone videos, but then when you see that close up, when you're like, and I think probably what I was thinking to myself is, I don't need to see this because no one close to him needs to see this. No one who knew him and was close to him needed to see that video of him like that, and someone you love and someone you're close to. And so I was really turned off by that. But it was on X, and you just know that one thing X is known for is not censoring just about anything. And so then I start having the conversation in my head, and I'm going into another meeting, like I say, busy afternoon. And
I was about to say, man.
And I'm thinking to myself, I'm trying to pay attention to this meeting, but I'm really thinking to myself, like, should we censor this? Like, I've generally been on the bandwagon on X and things like that of just letting videos, truth out there be played and be out there. And then you have the community notes to come in and give veracity if it's true or not. But I thought to myself, I'm like, no, if we're not posting anything or taking anything down, that should be taken down. And there were, congressmen and senators calling for also Facebook. I didn't realize that got posted on Facebook too, but I guess so.
I didn't see it
I guess Facebook. Just through
but I definitely did not look for it on Facebook.
Right. Calling on X and Facebook and I think TikTok to pull these videos down. But it's like someone was saying this morning when we were talking about it at church, that it's never gone now. Now that it's out there, they can pull it down, but it's never going to actually be gone.
Yeah. So I kind of had the same response. My original thought is twofold. First, I pray to God my wife and children don't see this.
Yeah.
That was my first, like, my
one of the guys I was
thought.
talking with this morning said he was with a group of guys at his work whenever it happened, and they all texted their wives and said, don't watch it. Like, don't look right now at what's out there.
I can't text my wife that. Yeah. I can't text my kids that because she's going to immediately do that.
Right.
I just prayed that It would put panic more than it would, because none of my family is searching out that stuff. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like they're not on X, they're on Facebook, and most of the time it's on Facebook Marketplace or looking at funny memes or funny videos or stuff like that. So they're not going to seek that out. But the moment I would send something, it would trigger in their brain what's going on, and I'm not near them. That would be the first thing that would do that. That was my initial response, and then as the other angles come in, I just wish I hadn't seen it. Mm-hmm. And so do you want to read that thing? I don't know if you have it for the thing you sent. I don't know if you put it on our thing, but
I didn't post it.
I'll read it.
I do have it here.
I posted it on our Facebook.
Okay, you go ahead
then. You're better at reading things. But this is a Dr. Raymond Nichols.
And I don't know who he is. I could have looked him up. But he says, when he's talking about this video and what's been out there, he said, "You were never meant to witness someone's final breath and then laugh at a TikTok. You weren't built for that. Your soul wasn't designed to hold that kind of weight and then move on like it's nothing. This isn't just about tech. This is trauma. This is spiritual damage. We're overstimulated, underconnected, and completely shut down inside. We're seeing everything and feeling nothing, and that should break your heart." That really resonated with me, because the seeing everything and feeling nothing, like seeing this happen, like I'm glad it did trigger something inside me, because man, what a sad state it would be if it didn't.
I can honestly say whenever I see stuff like this, and it can be any video. It could have been what happened in Charlotte. It could have been when I watched the George Floyd video. Mm-hmm. It could be whenever I watch, World War II videos. To me, it doesn't matter. I always have the same response, like, man, I really wish I hadn't watched that. Now, this is on a million times worse. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, in terms of like looking at a historical video versus modern time videos. I feel the same way and I'm just speaking about watching the video. I'm not talking about who it is. But when you look at that kind of stuff, it changes you. Like there's something inside of you that is different. I spoke with one of my friends, and they deal with death all the time. Like that's just part of their job. They work for the state. They see county, horrible car crashes and things like that. And they even said, like, this is different. There's something different about this. And I can't tell you how many times this week that someone was like, this feels different. Mm-hmm. There's something different about this versus anything else that I've ever seen on the internet.
Yeah.
And so I think that kind of comes back to the second thing that we posted this week about it. Obviously, we posted several things, but the other one says this one's not near as long and near as wordy as the other one. And if you don't want to go down this path, we definitely don't have to. But if you cried, felt a strange feeling, or weird burden for Charlie, where your heart aches for a man you've never met, it's because you're part of the body of Christ. Mm-hmm. And I'll speak for myself. I won't speak for Clint because he can speak for himself, but this definitely feels like that.
Yeah.
When I was watching the video, and my initial response was, "Oh my gosh, he's not going to make that." There's no. I mean, I just when I saw the one that was closer up, I thought, "There's no way. Mm-hmm. There's no way. Absolutely no way." Mm-hmm. And then my second response is, "Why is that guy standing up, cheering?"
Yeah.
Like he did not duck; he cheered, and it really, really that. Okay, so you have like 1A of witnessing what you witness, and then 1B, the gentleman standing up and looking right into the camera and cheering like his team just won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And so like that just literally made my stomach, like I still have that same feeling just now thinking about it. Like I just want to throw up, because it's just like, man, how does this happen? And it's almost as if like it was meant to be. I don't know. Like I don't know how to explain it to someone. I don't know how to explain it to someone who's not a believer. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like I can't. Like I don't like I had a conversation also with a coworker of mine this week, and they just didn't really understand. And I'm like, I've known this person for a very long time, and we've had many conversations, and they just didn't get it.
Yeah,
they just don't understand. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, like, and they had watched the videos, they saw the same things that I saw, and the response was definitely not what I would have expected it to be. Not that it was celebration. Does that make sense?
Right.
But it was definitely not a response that I would expect.
Yeah. I've really this one has really bothered me on that realm of things. Like, we talked about, especially during the election and especially with politics, how polarized the country is, one side or the other. But hearing and seeing, like, people either cheering it, which, gosh, there's been a wave of firings and companies saying over and over again, this does not represent our beliefs, this person's been terminated, there's been, I've seen at least 10 to 15 of those, and I'm not looking for them.
Me either.
You just scroll and see it, like companies reversing course and apologizing for things their employees have said. Like that bothers me. But then, like, just a day or two after, this wave of people saying that he was just a horrible person. So, like, my question is, if you disagree with him, and if you think his thoughts were horrible, and you can add all the labels to it that you want to, what's your point? Like, the guy was murdered not only in front of those people, but in front of his wife and kids. Like, brutally murdered. And so if you want to call him out because you don't agree with him and call him all kinds of things, what's your point? Are you saying to some point that he deserved it? And that's what Dowd was fired for from MSNBC. This was probably the most, I would say, public firing, was his comments on MSNBC.
Is this a video or is this a...
We do have a video, yeah, of exactly what he said.
Then lead to hateful actions. And I think that's the environment we're in, that people just, you can't stop with these sort of awful thoughts you have and then saying these awful words and not expect awful actions to take place.
Matt.
And that's the unfortunate environment we're in.
Turning Point USA has confirmed that he was shot.
I mean, here's my 2 cents on that. First off, I'll go back. Let me rewind a little bit on my own experience with Charlie Kirk, the social media guy. Mm-hmm. Okay. Like, when he first came around and you saw him sitting and you just listened to the clips, you're like, oh man, that you probably shouldn't say that, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and especially like the round table situations with the young ladies, and they're talking about things that are, wildly inappropriate that they're doing, and then he's correcting them. Those are the ones that I saw early in the game. Okay. So then I go and I'm like, okay, who is this guy? Okay. Whenever I hear high school students talk about a social media person, there's one of two people that they talk about. One is usually a dance person, a TikTok dance person, and I could give two craps about that. The next one they talk about is polarizing people. And most of the time, it's polarizing in the wrong way. Mm-hmm. Okay. And it's usually a flash in the pan, and then it goes away, right? That's typically how social media works, and especially those viral clips. But Charlie Kirk kept being brought up. And like, when we were having, over the last couple of years, like when we were having conversations about whatever, it never failed that at least once a week, if we were talking about something current, his name was dropped.
Right.
So then I started looking into him. Like, okay, who is this guy? Like, okay, I see he's going to campuses. Like, I started doing a little research on like turning points and Turning Points America, and then he came on the scene with President Trump. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, like, he's conservative, obviously. And then I started doing more and more research, and I'm like, oh man, this guy's good. Like he has a lot of like ability. And I sent that clip to you, but it was on TikTok, and it just basically, he's having a conversation, and this is very early. I posted it on our TikTok, and it's an older woman, I would say maybe in her 50s, 60s. And she comes up and says, you know, like, why are you doing this? Like, you're gonna endanger yourself. And again, this is like 5-6 years ago. And he says this conversation has to be had, because if we don't have this conversation, what leads to next is violence.
Right.
And again, he had said that multiple of times, and come to find out, that's what happened.
Yeah.
And so like I'm struggling, honestly, whenever I see people who say stuff like he was evil and he's a fascist and he's antichrist and just wild things that they're saying about him. And I'm thinking to myself, one, I would never, ever, ever say that about another human. That's the first thing. Like, I don't understand how you could say that about anybody, little less a person you don't know.
Right.
Number two, you obviously have watched only his stuff out of context.
You're right.
So that kind of leads me into the point of our next point about all this is, one, you can watch something online, and like we've run into that. We have our own TikTok and we post little clips or something, and I very rarely hop into the comments. I pretty much just post and leave. But there's been a couple of times this week, like I had to turn the comments off on one of the videos. It was literally just a haka dance that someone from the Polynesian Islands were doing in remembrance of him. And the comments were just awful. Yeah. Just absolutely awful. The people who follow our page were going into their comments and trying to combat it. And finally it got to the point where I'm like, when a username comes in and says Satan has entered the chat, I deleted the comment section. Because like that whoever, I'm sure it was probably a bot. Like, right, I'm sure some of it is going to be that.
Some of it is, but I've talked to a whole bunch of real people this week.
And it's not. It's not that way. But like, here's the thing too. Like, if you listen to some of the things that he said out of context of a 3-second clip or a 30-second clip, it could be totally construed to be whatever you want it to be. It could be. I mean, and that's the reality of social media. However, when you have someone like Charlie Kirk who has millions of hours of video on the internet, then you get a pretty good idea of who he is. Right. And I felt the same way, you know, like I feel this same connection to a person like Joe Rogan, right? I don't know him. I'll never meet him. But I've listened to him talk for 1,000 episodes at somewhere between an hour to an hour and a half. So sometimes longer, sometimes 3 hours. And so I would say at minimum, I've listened to him for 2,500 hours. And so you get a sense of who a human being is. Yeah. And I can honestly say not one time since I've started really, really diving into him did I ever think that he was a fascist, did I ever think he was a racist, did I ever think that he had anything but a kind heart for the youth of America and wanted to be sure that everyone was able to have a voice in some way or another. And that was shown over and over and over in these debates that he had.
When he gets called a fascist for support of Trump. Okay? Set that over here to the side. He gets called a racist because when it comes to issues of race, he asks the question. This came up with some comments about when they had the crash at Reagan National Airport earlier in the year. Yeah. And he was talking with some people on a different podcast and talking about how United's CEO had come out and lauded their DEI program. But in that discussion about United's DEI program, basically made it clear that their focus and their purpose was to hire people of color and to look at qualifications second. And so Charlie Kirk was asking the question, first of all, is this a problem? You know, and what does that make you think? And so his quote is, if I see a black pilot, I'm going to think, man, I hope that guy's qualified. But it was part of his larger point and larger conversation of DEI and people being promoted based on race and nothing else is, in his opinion, in his point, makes you ask that question. Whereas before that was an issue, that's not a question you would ask. And so the thing about, Charlie Kirk, and like in that issue and several issues, he would ask the question. Like he would say, is this a thing? Do you think this way? Should we think this way? And he flat out said in that conversation about the pilot, he said, we shouldn't be thinking this way. This is not how our mind should work because of this. He flat out said that. And so he gets called all of these names because he's willing to have the conversation. But at the end of the day, he's still sitting down at the table with a microphone willing to have the conversation. He's not out there just spouting his views and then not letting anyone else speak back to it. He's having the conversation. He's asking the questions. He's letting other people speak and then challenging their thoughts as well. And that's something that a lot of people, if you watch his videos and watch his interactions, just could not take. Like they saw that as something other than just wanting to have a spirited debate.
I just the political discourse has got to change.
Yeah.
Overall.
I think it's got to become more, and I don't know how you do this exactly, but it's got to become more mainstream. Like having these conversations and asking hard questions and having a space where you can ask these questions and not be labeled things and just be able to talk about it has to become more the norm than just only talking with people who are going to agree with you.
I agree. But the problem is we have a whole generation that has no idea who Charlie Kirk is. That's older than us.
Yeah.
And if Charlie Kirk comes on a Fox News or a CNN or whomever from this point forward, it appears it's going to be Ben Shapiro and others. If they go on a CNN, they're going to get 30 seconds. Mm-hmm. And the problem is, this is a bigger problem, is you can't have a long-form conversation. They just don't allow it. It's not, excuse me, the networks struggle with that because you have advertisers that have to pay. And you're going to have to change that. Like literally, if you want legacy media wants to stay around, they're going to have to change their format. Mm-hmm. And you're going to have these hard conversations and these long conversations. But then what can't happen is you can't have a Kamala or an AOC or a Waltz coming out calling people names that they aren't.
Yeah.
And so that's the hard thing. And like, do we have the greater point? Rhetoric causes crazy people to do stuff.
That's my point. Like, so you have Waltz. Let's just play his, and then I have some comments about that. Our buddy Tim Waltz, who's not running for president, as if anybody needed to know that, or anybody wanted him to run that's not named Tim Waltz. This is about Trump, though. Come back. Where you at? There you are. This guy. That's not a good face either. Last week, and we're equal opportunity bad facers in our video clips, because last week we had a bad Trump face. So today we have a bad Tim Waltz face. Oops. Oh, man. I messed it up. Listen, I'm trying to...
No, I'm not.
I'm trying to produce and talk.
We got it.
Look, I get it. You get up in the morning and you doom scroll through things, and although I will say this, the last few days you woke up thinking there might be news. Just saying. There will be news sometime, just so you know. There will be news.
So what he was talking about is, remember a couple weeks ago when Trump didn't do a press conference for 3 days and everybody thought he was dying?
Yes.
Which is ridiculous, right?
Absolutely.
Because he just wasn't out there for about 3 days, and everybody thought, oh, Trump hasn't done a press conference in 3 or 4 days, and he must be something wrong, must be some health issues. And so that's what Tim Waltz is referencing there, saying, I know the last few days you've been waking up thinking there might be news. Like he's literally hoping for the president's demise. He was hoping to wake up to news that Trump had died. And then he says at the end of it, oh, trust me, there will be news someday. Like, dude, what's that mean? Like, there's already suspicion you're having people in your own state killed.
Right.
Like, for political grounds. Like, so that's what I'm talking about. That's the greater point, is that all of the leading Democrats came out and said what they were supposed to say when Charlie Kirk was murdered. They came out and said, we condemn violence, political violence of all kinds. Kamala came out. Obama came out. Everybody came out and said they condemned it. Okay, half a point. Okay, I'm not giving you a full point, but I'll give you half a point for coming out and at least saying it and just not adding anything else to it, but just saying it and making the statement. But you can't go out there and call people fascist and Nazis and not expect a crazy person who listens to you. I'm not saying that they would go out and do it, right? I'm not saying that they are the ones that are going to go out and try to take out someone they're calling a fascist, but crazy people who listen to you will. That's why they write things on their bullets like, hey, fascist, catch. And like that is where they are responsible for this. And I've got no problem in saying that they do bear some responsibility for this, because you think about it, people have said time and time again, man, if you had a time machine, go back to 1933 and kill Hitler. Right? People say that all the time. If you're calling Trump Hitler, okay, crazy people who listen to you, what is that going to make them go do? It's going to make them go sit out in the bushes on the golf course. It's going to make them go climb up a building at a rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. Like, they bear that responsibility. You can't go do that. Like, and they're not.
Right.
Like, Charlie Kirk has several videos. If you Google this, 10 of them will come up where he gets called a fascist and he asks him what fascism means. And they can't answer the question.
Right.
Like, if anything, Charlie Kirk was the opposite of fascism, because your fascist doesn't let you sit down and have your opinions heard. The fascist just kills you. Like, the fascist doesn't sit down in a quad at a university and say, okay, come up and let's have a discussion. The fascist says, all of you disagree with me? Okay, let's get out the guns and I'm shooting all of you. That's what the fascist actually says. He was the exact opposite of what fascism is.
Well, and I hate the ism conversation.
Yeah.
Like, I hate it because, first off, that just, okay, I've almost said this a couple of times, but you are a very good debater. Some might call you a master. But what I'm saying is when you're having a conversation with someone, okay, and they start to, quote unquote, lose the conversation, they just yell at you. They just scream ridiculous things at you, right? And so the easiest way to get, when you're losing a political conversation or when you're losing a just a regular old election, it is to call them something that that radicalizes people. And maybe radicalizes is not the right word, but
no,
it pulls people into an extreme. Okay.
Yeah.
And so when they do that, it's done on purpose.
Yeah.
It's done on purpose. And there's some sort of a play in it.
Yeah.
And I just think too, like, this can't continue. This can't continue. And you saw all over the globe yesterday, Friday night, last night, and today, you saw people protesting.
Yeah.
And I did not see, and I searched for it because I wanted to see, and I wanted to come on here and be able to say this. I didn't see one violent one.
No.
Not one. Which is the polar opposite of what we saw during COVID.
Right.
Between the 3 or 4 times that we had movements going through, every single one was violent.
Yeah. And the governor of Utah said that exact thing. He said, you didn't see rioting, you didn't see burning, you didn't see looting, you saw prayer vigils. But back to that point, here's what it is. They have to align Trump and people they disagree with, Charlie Kirk, with something horrible like being a Nazi or fascism. Because at the end of the day, the only thing that exists there is they just disagree with them. They just disagree with Charlie Kirk. They just disagree with Trump. But that's not enough to just have a disagreement with someone. They have to get to calling them names that sound horrible and align them with atrocities that have taken place over history so everyone else will hate them too. It's not enough for them just to disagree with him on ideals. Like, it's not enough for a college student to come up and say to Charlie Kirk, like, are you saying I should ruin my college career and keep a baby instead of having an abortion? Like, it's not enough for them just to disagree with it. He says, no, I think all life is precious. And I think that is a life inside of you worth protecting. Like, that's where the disagreement is. We're not trying to infringe on anyone's rights. And he would go into great detail about, you made choices that got you to being pregnant. It's not an immaculate conception. And so there are things you can do to keep from, quote, ruining your college career. And he would have that conversation with them. But at the end of the day, It is his view. It is his worldview as a Christian. And then, depending on the topic, also as a conservative, that they disagreed with. But that wasn't enough for them just to disagree with him. They have to call him a fascist so that'll get other people to hate him too.
It's blows my mind. Well, and now I saw, I don't know if you want to play Mars clip first before we move on to the next point.
Yeah, I'll do that because, like, again, we love rolling out. And just so the listeners know, I watch every single episode of Bill Maher on Friday nights. I don't watch it on Friday nights. I'll watch it later. It's on HBO. And he does plenty of times where, he's not conservative at all. He's extremely liberal. And so but when leftists and liberals and Democrats go off the deep end like they've done with calling Trump a fascist, he's one of the only people in that wing, in that party as a Democrat who's willing to call them out for it. Oh, dang it. I did it again. Here we go.
He has to stop too. He went out to dinner. I wouldn't have done that. In Washington, D.C., okay, and people started to gather around him and they were chanting, "You're the Hitler of our time." Okay, first of all, he's not Hitler. Okay, an insult to everybody in the Holocaust to begin with. Second of all, calling somebody Hitler makes it a lot easier to justify things like assassination. Let's put a load of that away, shall we? And also, no, I'm not.
Yeah, like anytime I hear someone start throwing around fascism or Nazi or Hitler, like I can't have a conversation with you. Like it's gotten to a point. Like I really want to. I would love to say, what does that mean? What have they done that looks like that? Like, oh well, this person did this. Like what? I would love to have, but you can't. I've learned that lesson the hard way over the last 6 years, whatever it's been. Like you can't. It's a non-starter. Not 6 years. Gosh, 8, 9 years since 2015, 2016. Like you just can't do it. And like I think Bill Maher just is saying to the Democrat Party, and his studio audience thankfully agrees. Like, quit. Like he's not Hitler. He's not a Nazi. Like you're just trying to get other people to agree with you by calling it something that it's not. And then, so rightly so, he says, when you do that, it makes crazy people much more able to justify violence.
Yeah.
Whenever you do that.
And I went through like the whole stages of grief. Like when I first saw it,
I'm in the anger stage right now.
I was shocked.
Whichever one that is.
Like I was shocked. I went through, then I was like, after he passed away, like I was just really, really sad.
Yeah.
Right. But you also I have responsibilities too, right? I'm a dad, I'm a husband. I, have responsibilities at home and my kids don't have a clue what's going on. And so I'm trying to make sure that I connect the dots in all those areas when I'm literally trying not to vomit. And that's just how I felt. And I'm again, I said this at the beginning of our conversation, but like I'm really glad we didn't cover this right after it happened, because then like on Friday I was just so angry. And then now I'm kind of in like this state of like numbness of like it's happened. So now how do I process this so that way I have a controlled thought going forward? And now I saw today that Kash Patel, director of the FBI, is being pulled into congressional hearings this week for scrutiny of for arresting people early rather than later, and releasing names and photos of their likeness. And it was like on the X profile that they had for the FBI, they apologized and they were just trying to be transparent in where they were at in the investigation, so on and so forth.
Yeah. The only thing I don't like, and again, I appreciate, and I thought to myself, and maybe this is my conservatism, like the guy I voted for is in office right now coming through. But when I thought to myself, I'm glad this happened with Trump in office and with Kash Patel and Dan Magino, head of the FBI. I feel like they'll actually catch him. You know, whoever did this and the further plot behind it, if there even is one. I had myself thinking that, and so I'm glad that we were getting regular updates. But I think, you know, because they had the first guy, they may have others, but the ones that you really heard about was they had that first older guy in custody. Right. Then they had someone else the next day. They said, and that's when Kash Patel said, we've got him, but it turned out to be not the guy. And then I saw as I'm scrolling headlines, okay, that one's been released. The one that they had arrested second that we knew about. And then Trump announced Friday morning they had this Tyler Robinson in custody. And so
I don't have a problem with that. Like, I really don't have a problem with them saying that they had them and then correcting, going back. I don't have a problem with it because it's a live investigation. That's the first thing. But then the second thing is they ran on transparency.
Yeah.
And they being Trump, Kash Patel, you know, Senator Rubio, Pete Hegseth, that whole collective group, Pam Bondi.
Yeah.
We ran on transparency. Mm-hmm. And I hope he says that this week during the hearings. Look, we got it wrong, and then we fixed it immediately. Yeah. But we want to be honest, because when it comes back around, when we're doing this investigation, we let the guy go.
Yeah.
We let the person go who it was.
Yeah.
And it sucks for that moment because it's like, dang, I thought they had him.
Right.
And then there's almost this incitement of fear that goes back into the public. But I would much rather it be that way than us have 4 days of nothing.
Right. And I do, to put some context on it, these congressional hearings that Kash Patel is going in for were already scheduled before this happened. He's going in before the appropriators as a normal course of him appearing before Congress. But, you know, he will be asked about this. And it's just kind of one of those things where I like for lack of a better word, enthusiasm for going after it. You know, for saying, no, we're going to go get this guy. Like, we're going to go catch him. And I've seen some other pushback for people saying, well, the Babylon Bee even did this, which the Babylon Bee is pretty dang conservative. Satire. I mean, it's like the conservative version of The Onion. We've said that before. They said FBI takes credit for catching a guy who turned himself in. And I was like, come on, Babylon Bee. Like, they still got the surveillance footage, put it out there, put it out to the public. And then I think that's when, if the dad had an inkling that his son had done it because the son talked about doing it at a family dinner before the shooting, I think that put it to rest where he said, hey, you're caught. Like, you've got to go in. And so it's not like the FBI did nothing, right? And they've also, now think about this, you can go arrest somebody, but you've got to collect all the evidence to convict them.
Right.
So, like, I don't like the Babylon Bee or anybody else saying the FBI hasn't done their job, because I hope that they've done their job and collected the evidence to get this guy convicted. You know, Utah has a firing squad.
Yes, I saw that. So here's what can't happen this week, and we'll come back next week, and I'm going to list there's only one Democrat on the Oversight Committee hearing. So Rand Paul's the chair. The ranking member is Gary Peters, who's a Democrat from Michigan. The other ones are Ron Johnson, James Lankford, Rick Scott, and Josh Hawley. Hawley, yeah, from Missouri. And then there's one Democrat, Gary Peters from Michigan. What cannot happen is what happened to RFK the week before. Okay, we're literally having a conversation about political discourse and how it needs to be civil, and how it needs to be a conversation that can be had, and how the American public needs to see our senators getting along. And then you have senators screaming at our health services secretary. That cannot happen this week. Mm-hmm. Now, based on, before I started my thought, I didn't know who was on it, but now that I look at it, I don't believe that will.
Yeah.
None of these guys are hot-headed. None of these guys have a tendency of doing that.
No, but I just think if there's any plea for anything, I think this will be a story we continue to talk about. It's not going to be just talked about today and everything. We will continue to talk about this. But the lesson from this has to be is like, if you disagree with what someone says, like have that conversation. Right. Or if you don't want to, if you're like, I just don't like conflict, I don't want to do that, then that's fine. But don't resort to name calling, and just trying to make them out to be worse than they are just because they have a different opinion.
Right. You shared something with me this week, and
let's do your louder again.
Yeah. Sometimes, not always, sometimes you just can't reason with someone, and it's best just to walk away from it. And I've run into this before on social media where I privately or publicly comment on something, and then almost immediately I'm like, man, I wish I hadn't done that.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to get solved in that space, in that conversation. And a lot of times you see these conversations being had on social media and they never end well. One side is usually mad and the other side is usually also mad. And so I think that when you see these things like our video, our Haka video that I posted, that was just supposed to be hey, look at this.
Right.
This is kind of neat. It turned into a just a visceral attacking of everything that Charlie Kirk stood for. And that's when it's on the moderator to step in and say, okay, no more. Yeah. When I have 3 people text me and say, hey man, the comments are just getting out of hand. Yeah. I just took it off. I didn't take the video down because I don't believe in that, but I did turn the comments off.
Right.
And so I think that's where the moderator, whoever is in charge of said post or said thing, it's their responsibility too.
Yeah.
To manage that. So
I engaged with one person. So I saw plenty of people I could have.
Hold on. I got to say this. When I laugh like that, I'm not laughing at the situation. You know me well enough, but anytime I get nervous or I just giggle. Yeah. It's like, like when you're at a funeral and you're definitely not supposed to laugh and you're supposed to be holding it in and you're not supposed to giggle. It always happens to me and my wife in a very awkward moment. Like I'll make eye contact with her and she will just giggle like, yeah. And so anytime that you hear me today, I have giggled a couple of times, but it's because I am trying to make sure that I don't come off as whatever. And that's just my natural response.
And the story I'm going to share too, and it's just kind of like hopeless. It's just sometimes you just kind of just laugh like we tried,
Yeah.
Give the old college try. I've seen several that I could have engaged with. And I think a lot of us learned our lesson most from COVID in 2020 about talking about hot topic things on the Facebook and places. And I definitely learned my lesson really difficultly there in that time. But there was one person I really thought I could engage with. And this person I know is a Christian and a believer. He was really active in church and everything whenever we were in high school. But it's also someone I really haven't talked to much except for just like the occasional, hey, how you doing? Since we graduated, right, over 20 years ago. So there's also that.
Don't talk about that.
You're younger than me, like a couple of years. And so it's also like people have gone to college and lived in different areas and gotten different ideas about things and have different life experiences. And so I thought that there would be a constructive conversation. It wasn't. And I was very careful with my words and just kind of left it. Like I made a comment on their post like, hey, like it's premature, whatever. What about this, and then kind of got a lashing back and like my kids got brought into the conversation because the racist thing got started to get thrown around and I have 2 black kids. So there's kind of also there's like this thinking if you are, and parents who are white, this is a very specific niche thing I'm going to say. White parents who are raising black kids, some people who are also black kind of look down on you like you shouldn't be raising black kids because you don't know the culture and you can't experience or feel that culture. And so that kind of started to get thrown around.
It didn't start. It was thrown around.
Yeah. And like I've heard that before. I've seen that before. And like, I mean, all I want to say to that, and I'll tie a bow on it, is there's two ways to fix that. One, have more. There, I'm not going to say that part. But there, I mean, anytime someone looks at us like, y'all have so many kids, or like if we have our 2 black kids, I'm like, well, the other option would have been to leave them in neglect in the drug infested house they were found in. I don't think anybody wants that option.
No.
So I'm glad we were there to take them, and they're our kids and a part of our family, you know. So that's really a non-starter, but we do get some of that from not everyone, but from some people. And so that kind of is where the conversation went. So my response after that was just like, hey, I didn't mean to offend you. This is, you know, I'm sorry. Certainly didn't mean to say that. And blah, blah, blah. So I didn't say much after that, and then kind of left it, and we'll leave it at that, and I won't say anything else. My point is, like, tried to have this conversation, but even there, it can't happen. So what I've decided, should have decided this back in 2020.
Can I interject for just a second?
Go ahead.
You handled that way better than I probably would have, to be honest. I don't think I would have handled that as well as you did. So kudos to you.
Okay. It still makes me sad though, because I really I'm just one of these naive dumbos that just want to have the conversation. Like, let's just talk about it. And that just seems to be so difficult to do. So what I'm getting at is I think I need an objective for what I want social media to be for me. And I think I need to come up with something like, okay, because most of the time, 95% of the time, social media is memes, reels that I consume, like just funny stuff. And when I post, it's like, here's my kid doing something cute at a football game or at a soccer game, or like, here's a family photo on a holiday, or a vacation pic. That's 95% of it. But there is that 5% sometimes when I see something, I'm like, oh, I want to comment. I want to add my voice to this conversation, and it never goes well. So I think I just need to come back and decide what I want social media to be for me. And I think it's going to get really stripped down of just like, here's my kids doing cute stuff. Here's us in California, and I'll consume memes and reels, and that's probably going to be it. I think I'm just going to reserve any type of, and I know there are people out there listening right now. They're saying, duh. that do
the person sitting across the table
that do social media this way already, and they're like, yeah, you should have been there a long time ago, buddy. And again, I'm not the guy out there commenting on everything. Right. I have several friends who do, and that can be their social media strategy. Mine has just been every once in a while I'll poke my head out there, and it always gets slapped back. And I'm just like, I think I'm just going to reserve all of these for in-person conversations or people I really know well and see often. Or like you say, one of the reasons I enjoy the podcast is we can just sit here, and now we're over an hour into it, and this is all we've talked about. We can have just a long form conversation and talk it out and talk through it.
There's 2 things about this podcast that I have really, really enjoyed. First off, reconnecting with you as a friend. That's the first thing. The second thing is I enjoy the conversations that has brought outside of this. Yeah. Because even though we don't have a huge following, this has opened doors to conversations that I would have never been able to have had before. And just ideas that I wouldn't have been exposed to. Yeah. And I want to finish up the conversation about Charlie Kirk. And this image right here comes from a song that Hardy wrote. He writes this song, and it's talking about how when he was first starting his career, he was just playing at a dive bar, and someone just wrote on a napkin, "Quit." And then he writes this song, and the catchphrase is, "Before you choose hate, get to know a guy." Right. And his term was, he might be a poet that was born to fly. And his lyrics are fantastic. And he literally is a poet. And I think that this is the mantra that I have been living by for quite some time, probably since around 2016, right? I am going to do my best to never dislike someone. And it gets me in trouble. It does. I trust people probably more and longer than I should, and should probably cut that off several times in my life where I've been burned, right? Yeah. but I choose not to.
Yeah.
And like, I want to get to know, like, why do you feel that way? Why do you think that? What has happened to you, or what have you gone through to make you feel that way? And it gets me this, right? It gets me hated sometimes. When generally most of the time, 99.999% of the time, I'm just asking a question.
Right.
Like, I just want to know, like, how did you get here? What happened? What caused you to think this way? What caused you to say that? And it's just general curiosity in most of the case. And it's like, like the whole thing about cats, right? Curiosity will get you sometimes. And so I definitely choose not to hate.
Yeah.
And because you just never know. And I see that in kids too. Like, I think too, my profession does that for me, because I'll always, if I have an interaction with a student that's a negative interaction on one day, if it's really bad, which I've had some where, like, I've had to step in and say, hey, that is not okay.
Yeah.
The next day when I see that kid, because I always will see them on the next day, I'll say, it's over. I'm just letting you know I have moved past it, and it's time for us to move past it. And generally speaking, those types of people and those types of students have not had that. It's held against them.
Yeah.
And so that's where one of the reasons why I love this saying is because you just never know what a person's going through. And so, like, the situation with Charlie Kirk, like, there's so much visceral hate towards him for something that he believed in wholeheartedly, that he literally died for. And I don't know if you want to get into the whole spirituality of it. Do you want to or no? So, like, I have been on a kick for quite some time that I just try to remove evil away from me as much as possible. I try my best to make sure that anything that's in my house that is negative or evil is just completely removed. Even if it started out as a good thing, whatever, a toy or something that then social media turns into a negative thing, I just remove it. And I don't want that in my life. I don't want to see it. I don't want to be exposed to it. And I think what we're seeing right now, and a lot of preachers preached on this today. I saw lots and lots of commentary on this today and last night for churches that were on Saturday, is that there is a spiritual reckoning happening between different factions that we cannot see.
Yeah.
And I really, really believe that. And I don't think that we've ever in our lifetime seen something like this before.
Yeah.
Where you saw the public execution of someone that was trying to do good by someone that was evil or doing an evil act. We talked about literally last week a little bit about what happened in Charlotte, and it's coming out more and more and more. Some of the things that he wrote in his diary, some of the things that I chose not to look up, that I was exposed to today, that I saw, that I chose to see, that kind of fall in line with that. And I am by no means a theologist or theologian of spiritual warfare, but I can see it I can see it. And I can feel it when I saw that video of Charlie Kirk, when I saw the video of what happened in Charlotte, when I read the news article about what happened in downtown Dallas at the motel, when I see what happens in Colorado, and you can just go on the list of, and I'll go even the opposing side. Like when you saw what happened to Nancy Pelosi's husband, that's evil. When you saw what happened with Tim Walt in Michigan, the list can go on and on, and it doesn't always fall along the political lines.
Right.
And when you see stuff like that, if it goes back to what I read a while ago about, like, if you felt something about Charlie Kirk or the young lady in, I forgot her, I can't pronounce her name.
Irina Zaruska.
Or if you feel something, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
And that means that you are a human. That means that you are most likely a believer. And that means that I'll speak for Charlie because he said it himself, that ultimately he's in a better place.
Yeah.
Do I wish that on him?
No.
Absolutely not. I did not want that to happen to him. but he said it himself that he's in a better place.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't wish that on anybody. No one should have to go through that. No family should have to go through that. Whether we're talking about Kirk, whether we're talking about, what's her name again? Arena. Whether we're talking about the students in Colorado, whether we're talking about Tim Waltz and the political parties up there, whether we're talking about Nancy Pelosi's family, whether we're talking about Trump and what happened with his almost attempt, not almost, but the attempt, that should never should be there. But there is something happening that for people who are not of the faith and who are not believers, don't understand.
Yeah. Norm Geisler, who wrote a lot of books along like the Christian apologetics line of things, he said that we have moral law inside of us because there is a moral law giver. So something that connects everybody, regardless of what country you grew up in and what the laws were in the country where you grew up in or the family you grew up in. We all feel that whenever we see something like this or like what happened to Arena, and we can all say that's not right. Like that's wrong. And this morning, we record this on Sundays. And so this morning, we were more full than I'd seen last week. Of course, coming out of summer, all the stuff you can say. But there were a lot of new faces, and there were people asking, like, what do y'all believe? What kind of church are you? Things like that. Or people actually visiting. And, like, I attribute this to somewhat of a 9/11 Sunday. Like, it's interesting. It was the Sunday after the anniversary of 9/11. But if you remember when 9/11 happened, churches were full. Because when something like this happens, there is something inside of humans that I believe was given by God that makes people say, like, this is not right. It makes them want to search out for something bigger than themselves that possibly can fix it. And like, that's when we started with the disclaimer at the top of the podcast. Like, we can talk about the ins and outs and everything, and we'll continue to talk about it as the case moves forward and as more information comes out. But at the end of the day, like, we're talking about a human life. And we're talking about something that we witnessed, like we read from the tweet from that doctor, that we should feel something when we see that. Like, that makes you human, and that makes you say, like, we don't have the answers for all of this or to fix all of this. We've got to go to something greater and bigger than ourselves to get there.
I have one more thing, and then I think we probably can move on. We talked a little bit about the videos when they opened up your ex. I almost wish, and I don't know how they could do this, and I'm just being transparent, and this is kind of a thought that I've had for the last couple of days. I wish there was a way to warn you on what you're about to watch. Now, I realize that it was coming so fast, and that's asking a lot of the social media companies, right? Mm-hmm. But ultimately, it's my phone. I opened it up, boom, it's right there. And I just, like, I didn't want to see that.
Right.
And if I search it out, that's on me. Mm-hmm. But when I open my phone and it, like, before I can get from the top of the screen to the bottom of scrolling, the video is already playing.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's a setting I can turn that off. I'm sure there is. And there may be, and I just don't know. But I just wish there was a way that we could protect ourselves.
Yeah.
Essentially. And again, there may be a way, and I just don't know. Yeah. But that's something that I'm definitely going to look into, because I just wish, I wish I hadn't seen it. And I, like, in my two brother-in-laws, we were texting back and forth because one works at a computer and one works kind of independent. So he has access to the news all the time. And I just sent it to him. I'm like, look, guys, I watched this, but I warn you, you probably don't want to. Mm-hmm. And both of them had already seen what I'd sent them. But it's just one of those things where you can't unsee it.
Yeah.
You can't unsee it.
I mean, I'll drill down a little bit further. When I saw the next video come up that was the closer up shot, I wanted to see the video, but I didn't know what was going to be in the video, if that makes sense.
100%.
Because nothing had been announced. It's just been carried off. Like, and you want to know, is this guy going to make it or not? And so you think, like, I'm of course not a doctor or anything, but you think, like, well, maybe I can see close where actually he got hit at. Then maybe that tells me somewhere in my brain if he has a shot at making it or not. But then when you see that, you're like, no.
No.
And like,
well, and then, like, there was so many analysts coming out saying, well, it hit this, and then he was probably wearing a thing. I don't know. Like none of that matters.
I know some people do it. I'm not saying it's like
that's
if
just
you want to have
for me.
Yeah, if you want to have the body armor conversation, fine. That you can have that. I just that doesn't do anything for me. But when you saw that video, you're like, no, he's gone.
100%. In other news,
gosh,
there's no way to transition this, and I don't know if you just want to wrap it up or if you want to talk about these last couple of things. I think a couple of them are important.
Yeah, we can keep it going. I mean, that's obviously the major topic of the pod, and will be the. I mean, yeah, we're nearly an hour and a half into it, right?
So we talked for about over an hour.
That's going to be obviously the main topic, but there are some other things going on, and
to be clear, I'm not. I want to tell you this openly. I'm not posting any clips of that conversation because I do not want any of that taken out of context.
Right.
Typically, I'll post 3 or 4. Try to keep it under 3 minutes, but I'm not posting anything of that because it could be 100% construed to be the wrong thing. You hear me laughing about something that
right.
You know what I mean? So I'm not going to post any of that.
Yeah, we got enough sound bites.
Okay, so a couple of other things happened this week, and some of them are still breaking. I want to talk first about the military buildup in Puerto Rico. After what we saw in Venezuela over the week, if you can go to that link, I sent it too late, but the Southern Command naval and air assets has been posted, and the amount of air assets that we have now in Puerto Rico is wild. We have 10 F-35s, multiple helicopters. We have 2 aircraft carriers in the region. One of them is there already, and the other one is headed that way. This is called the Iwo Jima. Oh, you have it up. There we go. Look at you on the fly producing. I like it. So you can see this is kind of where they all are. This is from X. I don't think can you see? Yeah. Okay. Over there on the right. And that's just kind of a retweet of it. But the amount of presence that we have in this area, I don't want to go as far as say something big is happening, but I will say that presence is being shown by force. And it shows that we're serious about whatever is happening down there.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't know geography, you can't see it. Venezuela is right there. So if you don't know where Venezuela is in the whole scheme of South America, it's right there on the northern part, the whole northern coast, basically, before you get down here to Brazil.
So here's Mexico.
Yeah.
And then this is Panama with the Panama Canal, which connects the Pacific and the Caribbean Sea eventually into the Atlantic Ocean.
Colombia.
Yeah.
And you got Venezuela, and then, of course, Brazil's down here. And so you see all of this buildup in this area in the southern Caribbean Sea, north of Venezuela. And this has to be for drug trafficking, is what you would think.
You would think. And Puerto Rico is an American territory, is a United States territory. Fun fact, you don't need your passport to go there, but the flights are more expensive. So we did, when we went to Mexico summer before last, we did the calculations, and it was cheaper to fly to Mexico and stay in Mexico and buy a passport than it was to go and stay in Puerto Rico because it was more expensive. But I mean, that's a sidebar conversation. But these are kind of the other assets that we have in the area. Some are there. Obviously, if we know this, there's obviously probably others that are there that we don't know about.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of interesting to see how this all plays out. We played the video last week of the Venezuela drug boat being blown up, for lack of a better word. So I think that's kind of interesting. There's nothing really more to that than just that. I just thought it was an interesting graphic. I thought maybe we could talk about it for just a minute. I'm glad you were able to pull it up.
Yeah, and that's the direction they go, right?
Right.
So the drugs are made there. They go north to America. It seems somewhat simple we're just going to put a whole bunch of military in this area. It's close to home anyway. We have like I said, American territory there. And so whether it's by sea or by air.
So we haven't had a presence there since 2004.
Okay.
So this base has been pretty much not shut down completely, but not had a large presence. I also want to say this. On the pod, we talked about right before Iran that they were moving ships to Diego Garcia, which is in the center of the Indian Ocean. And then they went the polar opposite direction.
Yeah.
So we had a bit of a conversation about that. So I wonder what the play is here.
Yeah.
If you're looking at the tea leaves and kind of know the news as we do, it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out.
Yeah, Trump has used the misdirection before.
Yeah,
military wise, which I'm
all for.
All for, yeah.
And then California passes a bill outlawing law enforcement from wearing masks.
Yeah.
Do you have a hard take on this?
I do.
Go for it.
I mean, I have a take on it. I don't, as of recording, I don't think Gavin Newsom has signed it yet, but he's expected to. I don't think California can tell federal agents what they can and can't wear. Like, I think this is just posturing for show. And it comes from ICE agents. They don't want these DEA or ICE agents wearing masks whenever they go do these raids, because they have this thing against masked people doing raids. But like, it's a very dangerous job.
Right.
Like,
here's what,
and like, are there no California law enforcement, like SWAT or anything, that doesn't wear a mask whenever they go? Do they not have any undercover? Like, I'm not a police officer. I mean, our Leo community can weigh in on that, but I would imagine there have to be California officers as well, at least in some divisions, maybe SWAT or undercover narcotics or something, that cover their faces when they go out and do these things so they don't get spotted with their families later. Like,
isn't there some irony in this though? Like, not, what was it, 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, when the COVID spike happened, they wanted everybody to mask up.
Everybody's got to cover their mask.
And so
cover their face.
I don't know.
That's a funny take.
It's a funny take, but it's kind of serious too. Like, I'm like, okay, so if something happens and they want everyone to go back to masks, so does this now outlaw the police and federal agents from wearing masks?
Right.
Because they'll be breaking
the law then.
Breaking the law.
Here's the thing. I think that's amazing.
I mean, it's just a point that I'm throwing out there. I don't know if it's true or not.
Just like no one needed Tim Walz to say he wasn't running for president, you don't need me to say I'm not an attorney or a constitutional lawyer. But I feel like California can't tell federal law enforcement what they can and can't wear. So I think it's just posturing and for show. But I don't know. Maybe.
I saw you got a survey, a Texas House constituent survey.
It's behind you. I forgot to grab it. If you want to
I'll
grab
it. Hold on just a second.
So I'll set it up. We've got my local Texas state representative.
I got to go this way because I've wired myself into this.
Sent a constituent survey, which I think is always a good thing. You know, the name of our podcast is the Cigar Politico, and Politico style of representation is that you poll your constituents and then do what they say. So if my state representative, Katrina Pearson, took these constituents, which I'm going to return it, by the way. I am going to do this. I just haven't done it yet. I just got it in the mail. And you hear the paper crackling on the pod if you're not watching the video. If she then took this and voted,
by the way, I'll tag her,
the way her constituents said, then that would mean that she follows a Politico philosophy of governing.
What's her name again? Katrina Pearson?
Katrina Pearson.
Katrina Pearson, you're always welcome.
You're always welcome on the pod. You can, and we can remote you in. You don't have to come. You can come to the man cave and smoke a cigar with us if you want, or cigarillo or whatever it is.
Hey, and it's open to Brent Money too. We'll allow him too. He can come.
But you know, I think this is a thing that reps do. They got a couple pictures of her addressing the body, and she talks about, you want to, pat yourself on the back, and that's a politician thing to do, and say, this is what I got done. This is my little newsletter, and by the way, I'm going to throw a survey in here, so I'm going to answer these live on the pod.
Hold on just a second. I want to go back to the previous point because I just caught the twitch. It says that these ICE agents are getting doxxed. Their kids' schools are being posted.
Right. Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah. Like 100%. They're covering their faces because they have to protect themselves. Like, not because they want to wear neck gaiters.
Huh.
I don't think it'll stand.
No, absolutely not. All right.
Guess.
Sorry. I didn't. I just now caught it.
All right.
Sorry about the Twitch comment. I like it when y'all comment. So
yeah,
keep going.
Keep it up. I'm going to answer these live on the pod. So this is my survey. There's 8 questions. Do you think the sale of hemp-derived THC products should be legal but regulated in Texas? Yeah, I'm cool with it.
Legal? Yes. Regulated? Yes.
By regulated, I mean, no, I don't want the 5-year-old to be able to go in and buy it.
Correct.
So
I'm trying to pull this up so I can follow along.
I'm answering yes. Do you agree that the state of Texas should play a role in regulating the use of AI technologies? Here's my thing on that. About the only thing I don't like on AI is if I get duped by it. And that's dangerous, right? There's not a lot of people out there who are trying to put words into my mouth, but they can put words into other people's mouth that I'm listening to. And like, you might think that person actually said that. So I don't know. There is a box for unsure on here. I think for me, for AI, I have to leave that as unsure.
I'm with you.
Okay.
Can you do a write-in on this?
I mean, there's a little space.
No, you can't. You can't.
There's a little space there. I could write a couple notes.
I'm with you though. I definitely don't like it whenever I think that overregulation of this is going to be bad, because then I won't get to see the dogs doing a podcast of themselves. I saw that one today. It was hilarious. Yeah. But like the Yetis have seemed to have left my algorithm, and now it's the dog podcast.
Have you
seen that one?
I've seen a lot of gorillas too. Those are pretty funny. I don't think it's stuff like that. I think
I know it's that.
But here's the thing. I almost want this question to give me some more information. Like, what are you regulating? Like, people putting words into people's mouths, like changing images that are derogatory, We did talk about that a little bit on the pod before.
We did.
I forget what episode that was. Do you think individuals should have the right to know when AI is making decisions that affect them? As an example, loan approvals, job applications, and healthcare. I think, yeah, I do. I would like to know that. And here's an example. I can speak to like the loan approvals coming from my banking background, that for some loans, the bank's decision whether to make the loan or not, and also what rate to give you, they use technology and now AI to help make that decision. Like they can go in and plug all the information in. The AI bot can risk rate the loan. And so based on the risk of the loan, they can decide if they want to make it or not. And if they do want to make it, what rate they should charge.
Okay.
I would kind of like to know that. I mean, it doesn't mean that the bank can't use that.
Okay.
It just means they got to tell you, hey, we're using AI to do this. I think honestly, though, the banks would probably push back against that, because they don't want their customers to think they're not important, and they're letting a computer decide their loan instead of a real person.
Okay, so can I interject for just a second? Because in my world, I'm using AI as a time saver.
Yes.
Okay, so this past couple of weeks ago, I used it to create we were watching a video, and I took the transcript, inserted the video in transcript into AI, asked it to help me create assignment, pull the teaks that it would be aligned with, and then create some questions to go along with it.
That's awesome.
It took 55 seconds.
Yeah, that's great.
The amount of time that saved me, first off, I probably wouldn't have shown the video, which was a great video, and it was very, very helpful. But I just don't have the time to go in and create all that. Not that I don't have the ability, but I just don't have the time.
Right.
Because it's so time consuming.
Right.
So that's what I'm using AI for.
Yep.
And I realize, and I've joked about this before, but I tell my brother all the time, well, if you're so worried about AI, just unplug the internet.
Yep.
And he's like, that's not how it works.
I mean, kind of.
I mean, like, yeah, it is. Just unplug it.
So,
go ahead.
So yeah, I'm good with that. Number 4, what do you believe the biggest issue with healthcare in Texas right now? Select one. All right, so here's our options. Lack of price transparency and surprise billing. High cost of insurance premiums and out-of-pocket expenses. Limited access to care in rural or undeserved areas. Okay, so I don't like 1 or 2. I'll probably do multiple checks on this. I don't have an issue with limited access. The DFW Metroplex, we have a lot of healthcare around here.
Correct.
But I know there's some areas that do, but that's not a concern of mine. But I do like whenever you have big events, like I'm not talking about your well child visits, but like my wife had 2 surgeries last October. One caused by the first one, right?
Right.
And like when you get that bill, it's like, that's a big bill. And like I know, and we have good insurance, so insurance is covering the chunk of it. And like we're like it's literally like 2 major surgeries, and we're coming out paying a few $100s. Like great insurance, but still, I want to know, because I'm smart enough to know that even though my insurance is paying for it, that money's coming from somewhere, and it's making my premiums higher. So yeah, correct. I like both of those. There's a couple options here. Shortage of healthcare professionals. I don't know anything about that. My daughter's going to be a nurse, my oldest, going to nursing school. Delays in getting appointments or treatment. I have great doctors. I don't have an issue with that. So I can only speak what I can speak to. Complexity and confusion around insurance coverage. Yeah, duh. I mean, I think everybody's confused by insurance coverage. So yeah, I would check those. You got any?
I would check 2, 1, 2, and then the last one.
Yeah.
And I will say, like, my son has to go to a very specific type of doctor, and I can't find one. Like, he has to go to an endocrinologist for a pediatric endocrinologist, and I can't find one. Like, the closest one I could find was in Fort Worth. They're all going to the out of network, like, cash pay system, which is fine. I don't care. But then, like, it's like a 2-year wait.
Yeah.
So it's not like an immediate emergency situation.
So
but
you do have a shortage issue.
But I don't know if that's all shortage of healthcare professionals.
Yeah, so
that's
a write-in. It's a check, and like specifically pediatric endocrinologist.
Yeah, like it's a very, very specific thing.
Number 5, do you support mass deportation of illegal aliens? I don't. Just flat across the board mass deportation.
No.
I like the approach that I feel like the Trump administration has had of deporting criminals. Okay. I'm not a fan of just rounding every single person up and deporting them.
I fall in line with that.
I would be okay with rounding everybody up who's not breaking the law on a regular basis as a criminal and saying, all right, here's your steps to citizenship. Go do this stuff and start now.
And let's make it easier and cheaper.
Yeah. Did you see the thing this week about trying to make the citizenship test all in English without an interpreter?
Yes. I don't have a problem with that.
I am straight down the fence on that. It's like, I don't have a problem with that, but at the same time, I'm like, let's not make it any harder.
That's where I'm at. So, like, I don't have a problem with it, but, like, is it going to cost more? Yes, then okay. I just
also don't want to make it any harder on the people that are already here to do it. Like, having to take, like, you can sort of learn language and really want to be a citizen here and be a contributing member of society. And if you don't have enough command of the language to take a test in it yet, I'm okay with you still being able to become a citizen.
Yeah. That's kind of like a very fine-tooth point of that conversation.
Yeah. Number 6, what do you believe is the most pressing public safety issue in our area? Violent crime, property crime, drug trafficking, fentanyl, border-related crime, emergency response times. I don't know.
What is her zone? Like, where is her? Like, where does it go to?
Rockwall and Collin County.
It's odd that it's border-related crime.
Well, that's going to be in there.
Yeah, that's true.
That's
what we've talked about that before.
But it's 2 of the richest counties in Texas also.
Can I say other? Wait, does it say most pressing public safety
Honestly,
issue?
I don't feel unsafe. Like, so violent crime or like border related crime. I don't feel unsafe. I feel like our emergency response times are good in this city. I don't see a big issue with drug trafficking. I would have to, if I had to pick one, I would have to say like property crime and theft. Again, living in 2 of the richest counties in Texas, that does happen. Stuff gets broken into, trucks get broken into.
Right.
There'll be a rash of a crew work in our neighborhood and work in another neighborhood in town where they'll go through and open up cars, and you'll see that come through on the Facebooks.
I don't think I have one that I would be. I mean, if I'm picking one, if you're saying, Kyle, you have to pick one, I'm picking emergency response time. But that doesn't have anything to do with our local government. It has to do with the dadgum construction.
Yes, that's true. It's so bad.
It's so bad.
All right, number 7, what types of border security measures do you support? Select all that apply. Increased personnel, I'm cool with that. Surveillance technology, drones, sensors, and cameras, 100%. You can do so much more technology than we can with actual people. I'm not opposed to putting more people on it, but, you know, if you just want to put some sensors, like if there's a piece of dust in between my garage laser over here, the door's not going to shut. You know, so maybe we don't need it that effective, but if you want to fly some drones over with some thermal imaging cameras and check for people just up and down the border 24/7, then do it. Like, that's great. 100%. Physical barriers. Yeah, I'm cool with a wall. I think the other stuff is better, but it's like I told my son when he was playing 3rd grade football and he's kind of small for his age. I'm like, you don't have to tackle him. You just got to slow him down. And so I feel like a wall does that.
Okay.
A wall may not catch him or completely stop him, but it does slow him down.
I did not expect you to say that, but yeah, that's a very valid point.
That's where I go with it. Partnerships with local law enforcement, 100%. They know the area.
Yes.
That's a no-brainer. I'm checking all these so far. Humanitarian aid and processing improvements. Yes. We said that time and time again. Like, if people need help, give them help. We are a very rich country who can do that. But
are you allowed to check all these?
it says all that apply.
Okay, then go for it. I would check all of them as well.
So, like, it's got to be case by case. But especially on the processing improvements, like if somebody just comes and literally comes and knocks on the door and wants to get in, like, I think we need to have a pathway for them to get in.
I agree. But to be clear, not just let them in.
Right. And it may be talking about something totally different there, but
That's how I read it as well.
yeah. Last question. What is the biggest challenge veterans faced when accessing benefits or services? So I'm actually going to ask, my father-in-law is a veteran, Desert Storm vet. My brother-in-law is a Navy vet. I'm going to ask them. He's had some, I feel like he's had all of these issues. Like the options on here are navigating the VA system, long wait times, lack of local providers, mental health support. He hasn't had an issue with employment or housing assistance, but might have at a different time. I don't know. And there may be others that have that issue, but I do want to ask them about that because I feel like as he's navigated some health issues recently that he's gone through, he could check the first three of those. So, and that is something that I feel like the legislative session talked about a lot of good things this time around. Like when we went down the list before the session started, we were like, these are all like practical things like you want to see dealt with and talked about. And I feel like there could be some more talk on there about helping veterans and just, you know, especially like, cause I know like the VA hospital is pretty far from here.
Right.
You know, and so having to go there and then
where's
long
the closest
wait times,
one from here?
I think it's like Fort Worth, right?
Gotcha.
I think
I
so.
really have no idea.
I think it's almost either Fort Worth or almost Fort Worth from here. So having to go all the way to there to get help. And then of course everybody's using it. So having to wait. I know that's an issue. So yeah, if you could expand that, but I don't know, like what does the state have to do with Veterans Affairs? I feel like that's a federal thing, but I don't know. Again, not a lawyer.
I'm looking. Hold on, because I'm curious. Where is the closest VA hospital to here? I thought there was one in Terrell. If I'm being honest with you,
Oh, there might be.
Garland.
Okay, well, I'm totally wrong about that.
Garland VA Medical Center on Marie Curie Boulevard, and then there's the Dallas VA off of South Lancaster.
Okay.
Huh. Well, I think that kind of puts a bow on the pod. I like it. We will talk about Senator John Cornyn's seat.
Yeah.
I think we can push that to next week. That's not going anywhere. Did you watch The Boys today?
Yes.
Thoughts on that? Okay, to be clear for people who this is their first podcast that they ever have listened to, okay? We are both avid football fans and avid Cowboy fans, and Clint is also a Chiefs fan, so his football day was not that great, okay? We both had very high expectations of the football season after last week's loss.
Yeah.
And even though it was a loss, but today I was like, what am I watching?
We struggled to beat the horrible Giants at the very end of the overtime period.
Right.
So it's like, whoa.
What is happening? And
But then
you had Russell Wilson throw for 4,000 yards.
I know he did. And that fourth quarter comeback, I'm like, oh no, that's the Russell Wilson we've seen before. Do the Giants have old school Russell Wilson? And then he like threw one pass like across his body behind him and went out of bounds. And I was like, okay,
He's back.
That's better.
But typically we open the podcast with sports talk. But hey, shout out. I don't know if they won today, but the Rangers are now 15-4 if they won today. Hold on, I haven't looked. Oh, we did sign
Jadeveon Clowney. Yeah.
I didn't see. No, we lost in the 10th inning. Dang.
Dadgummit.
Okay, but they did win the series in the Mets. And last I looked, which was last night, they were like 50% chance to make the playoffs.
I liked seeing the Cowboys win today because Dak is the owner of the New York Giants, except for his rookie year.
Yeah,
he lost both games his rookie year, but he's never lost since.
Never lost since.
And so I like that for trash talking reasons. But when we were struggling in overtime, I was thinking to myself, We were supposed to win this one. So we're going to lose a lot of games this year because we're playing a lot of good teams. But if we also lose this one, that's a much better draft pick.
Oh, no. My fantasy football team is getting smoked.
Yeah. So I don't know if that makes me a bad Cowboys fan, but I was thinking to myself, it'd be okay to lose this one because we're not doing anything this year. So you might as well get a better draft pick.
I'm predicted to lose this week. Oh, but only about 1 point. It can be made up.
Oh, that can be made up.
And my quarterback doesn't play till tomorrow, so.
Oh, yeah. Who's your quarterback?
Baker Mayfield. That's one of them.
Well, you never know.
You never know.
You never know about old Baker.
Is it ever too early to think about the draft picks? No, it's never too early to think about the draft pick. We're just not having draft talk.
Yeah. No, I just, if we were supposed to, this is one of the games in the list. If you look at the whole season, you're like, yeah, we'll probably win that game because the Giants are actually worse than the Cowboys, if that's possible. And
how are we giving everybody and their brother an extension now? Have you seen that?
Yeah.
Tyler Smith got one.
Smith, yeah. I mean, that's good. We have a good line-ish.
Yeah, ish. Then we
had a really good-looking line with no Jalen Carter at the Thursday game last week. Our line looked amazing. They're running all over the place. They ran the ball today, too, though.
They ran the ball well today.
Stinking Giants. Who cares?
When do they play next week? What time?
Is it? No, it's the 3 o'clock game.
3 o'clock game.
Yeah, 3:25, whatever.
I don't know. I'll keep I won't hold my breath that we're going to make the playoffs this year. But right now I'm in the Rangers. By the way, I take full credit for the Rangers winning because the day after I canceled my subscription to Victory Plus, they started winning. So
you wanted to watch the games,
I wanted to watch the game. So now I've canceled my subscription. It goes out this week. So like I canceled at the beginning of the month, and I was like, dang it.
Yeah.
Now I'm not going to be able to watch the end of the season, but I'm not coming back because guess what? They've been winning ever since I canceled.
Yeah.
So
Don't do it. Do it for the Rangers.
But yeah, it was a rough week, honestly, as far as like emotionally and everything else. But it was a good school week. Mm-hmm. It's a good school week, and I'm excited about what I'm teaching. It's at some point we'll dive into that because I'm doing a simulation this week on the Gilded Age, so I'm kind of excited about that. But I've never done it before, so I'm kind of a little bit on edge about that.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, our local football team won again, 3-0. Another sloshing, 47-21.
Who'd y'all play this week?
Denton. Braswell.
Gotcha.
So that was good. I play Weatherford this week, and then district play starts.
Are they going to Weatherford?
Yeah.
Oh, are you going to that one?
No.
I
don't have a kid actually doing anything this year, so.
I thought she was in drill.
Manager.
Okay.
That doesn't count.
Oh, yeah.
Don't tell her I said that.
I won't. She doesn't listen.
She does, actually.
You're gonna hear about that. But we're volleyball has a week this week, and then we're headed into district next week. We have a bye this week on Friday, so we have the weekend off. But my nephew was some kind of homecoming court this week, so I don't know. I don't know what that means as a freshman. I don't know.
Oh, that means he's a freshman prince.
The guys do it. I don't know. At our school, only the girls walk out on homecoming.
Can we talk about youth sports? Because we haven't today. We got a couple minutes.
I'm here for it. Let's go.
Our I love trash talking with youth sports. The parents, not the kids. We don't trash talk the kids. We learned that last season. We talked about it on the pod. So my little boys, 6-year-olds, were playing, and coach didn't put them in the first quarter. Everybody's got to get equal time, blah, 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 blah. So she didn't put them in the first quarter, which is fine. And the other team got up on us 3-0, and I'm just thinking, like, as soon as my boys go in, y'all are going to get killed. And sure enough, she put them in the second quarter, the whole second quarter, and then rotated them the third and fourth, and we beat them 11-3. They never scored again.
Oh, no.
I was like, that's right. And so this dad, man, he was so excited because he, parents sit on one side, other teams' parents sit on the other side, and he just cheer. Well, he's walking down there to where we are, and that's not even where the play was. His goal was down there, but he still, for some reason, when they got up 3-0, decided to walk down and start doing his chirping around all of us. So I'm so petty. You know what I did? As soon as that second quarter started and my boys went in,
you started walking.
We were down on their goal still because they hadn't switched for the half yet. So I was down there by him, and they were you could tell the look on his face, and it made me so happy. And I'm petty. Okay.
Hey, let me point this out. Before you choose hate, get to know a guy.
I wasn't choosing hate.
You're choosing pettiness.
pettiness. I was cheering on my boys who were destroying this dad's son's team who thought he was going to actually win a game, but that was before my boys went in. But and here's what, it's 6-year-olds. So in the second half, when they were on the other goal down on our end where our chairs were, one of them, like the kid kicks the ball way up in the air and it brushes a kid's forearm as it goes by. Technically, it's a handball. A lot of times that gets called. The ref didn't call it. There's 6. It was a brush. He didn't even try to like touch it. He just did. And it wound up scoring on that little tiny drive. Seriously, the dad puts his chair up on his end when the game's over, his little camping chair. As soon as he walks right behind us, he says, well, that's what happens when you don't call handballs. Dude, we beat you 11-3. Take a score off. Why don't you? We'll beat you 10-3. Like, take that one away if you want to.
That's what happens when you don't.
Yeah. And it was technically, I mean, there is no goalie at this age. That's how little they are. It's handball in the box. So it would have been a free kick just on the goalie. So we'll spot you the 4. Okay, we beat you 10-4 then. Change the whole outcome of that. Who cares? Parents, man.
I'd worked a junior high B team.
I'm a lot of fun at these soccer games. You got to come.
I may have to check it out.
Come sit next to me sometime.
I'm
loud. I lose my voice.
I worked a junior high volleyball B team tournament this weekend.
You talked about that. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I love it when kids have like just play for the joy of it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you don't know anything about volleyball, basically you pass a ball over net, over and over and over. So
that's how it works.
We're basically. These girls hit the ball up, and you have this one girl, she's running right to it, and she's like, I got it. She's calling it. And right before it gets to her, she was like, whoa. like that ball is not going to get me. Psych. And then like the coach is like, what happened? She was like, Coach, I just got nervous.
Be honest.
I'm like, well, okay. And like when things like that happen to you as a coach, you can't even be mad at it. She was like, Coach, I just got nervous because she just ducked. I mean, completely called everyone off, and everyone in the gym knew it was her ball. And then she just dodged it. I was like, oh my goodness, that's hilarious. I loved it. I just laughed because I was not the coach, but I was just keeping score.
We played a team that happened on a real quick story. And so the first time that happened, they had a free kick. But they were outside the box. So they got to make a wall, right? So all these kids are making a wall. They're just covering up their midsections. That's how all the boys stand. Okay. Well, the ball went right at this kid, and they put their arms up to cover him, and it hits their arm. Well, now that's a handball in the box. So that's an unprotected free kick. And so they got the free kick. They scored, blah, blah, blah. Well, the next time, Coach had them all turned around.
So you couldn't see it.
Yeah. It's like, well, still make a wall just where you can't see it.
I mean,
and your arms are in front, so you're not going to have an issue, right?
That happens sometimes in volleyball when someone's serving. It hits them in the back of the head.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's like, especially at the high school level, man, it can hurt.
Yeah.
We had a girl this
on
week,
like the same team on the same side of the net.
So you're serving across the net, and like it does happen where it doesn't happen often, but it does happen. But this week we were in serve receive, so we're receiving the serve, and a girl just missteps and it kind of shanks off of her hands, and it hits one of our girls right in the face. And it goes straight up, and our girl swings on it. Didn't get the kill, but I was like, yes, we have a face ball. I love it. Yeah. Because like that
counts as one of your 3 hits, right?
Correct. Technically, you can make contact with any part of your body as long as it doesn't hit it twice. Okay. It's like if you kick
so you could do headers in volleyball.
You can do headers in volleyball.
That's crazy.
Now, I would not suggest that because the ball it can cause a concussion pretty quick. But it's been a fun season. I'm enjoying it. We head into district after a week from Tuesday. Okay. So we'll see how it goes after that. That's a whole different level, but I'm excited about all that.
Fun.
Have a great week.
You too.